In this video, we're going to take a look at Tracm, an open source client for the ACM's Community Media Distribution Network, developed by Tightrope Media Systems. Although Tracm integrates tightly with Cablecast, it's not tied to any specific server or vendor. It's open source, so you can change it if you like. So let's get started. First, let's head over to cmdn.tv, which is the portal for the Community Media Distribution Network. You can see some of the most recently updated videos and uploaded content, as well as vendor updates and announcements. If you don't already have a CMDN account, head over to the Contact Us section, and you can fill out details here about how to become a beta tester. So once you have an account, you'll need to download Tracm. You can get Tracm at labs.trms.com. It's the last option called Tracm, and there is a download link for the installer right here. So I already have an account and I have Tracm installed on my machine. So let's take a look at Tracm. So the first thing you'll need to do once installing Tracm is set up your settings. The first part here is where your ACM login credentials go. So the server address will already be populated, and you'll need your username and your password. If you do happen to be using this with a Cablecast server, as of Cablecast 4.9, any shows you download or any shows you upload, the metadata can be exchanged with Cablecast seamlessly. So I already have my Cablecast machine's settings here, which is a username and password of any Cablecast user that has the right permissions and roles to create and read shows. The last thing you'll need to set up is a download folder, and this is typically the content drive of your video server. So now, let's go over downloading a show. It's pretty easy. So I'm going to go back to cmdn.tv, and I'm going to actually log in to the CMDN server. Once I'm logged in and I accept the terms and conditions, I can browse through the programming, and I'm just going to find a simple show that's kind of short, so I don't want it to download too long. So this Adopt a Couch PSA looks interesting. Once I find something I like, I can add it to my queue. Notice here at the top, I get a message that says successfully added to queue. So now I can go to Tracm, go to my download tab, and if I have Cablecast 4.9, which I do, I can select add shows to Cablecast, choose a location and a format. Since it's a digital file, I'm going to use my MPEG-2 format. Once that's all set up, I'm going to go ahead and refresh my queue. That brings me here. It updated my queue. Now it's downloading the video file. And by the magic of TV, this will now be done. Now that the file is done downloading, I can go over to my Cablecast machine, take a look at the new shows that have been added, and I see my most recent show ID, 8 PSA Adopt, which is the Adopt a Couch PSA that we just added to our queue, and all the information that doesn't necessarily go straight into a Cablecast field is put in here into the comments so that you can add it where you would need it. If I look at my content drive, I can see that the show has already been downloaded and the show ID has already been attached to the file name for me. Now, if I'm not using a Cablecast server, that doesn't mean I can't use Tracm. It just wouldn't put the show automatically into a Cablecast server, but the file would still be downloaded. Now, let's say I want to upload a program. If I go to the Upload tab, I can browse for a file. I'm already in my content drive, so I'm going to pick this test show that I have right here, which is just 10 seconds of bars and tone. Again, I just hit open, and because it's a Cablecast show, it reads the Cablecast ID and fills out all this information for me. Anything that's not filled out, I just need to fill in myself. So I'm going to add some tags like test, bars, tone, and I'm going to add a description saying that this is a test show. Everything else has been filled out from my Cablecast account. If I didn't have a Cablecast system and I was just using this as a standalone client, I would just fill in all this metadata manually. Once that's done, I just go to Add to Queue, and it's uploading. And by the magic of TV, we're now done. Once it's done, if I head back to the CMDN website, I'll do a quick search for test. And I see that here is my test show that I just uploaded. If I take a look at it, I can see that all the metadata from Cablecast and what I entered is already here. There's even a thumbnail and a video preview. And that's Tracm. So be sure to check out labs.trms.com for our other open source tools, and also for updates to Tracm. And if you have any ideas, feel free to head over to labs.trms, labs.trms.com, and if you go to the GitHub repository, which there's a link right here, this will bring you to where you can actually view and download the source code for Tracm. And if you have any problems or suggestions, go ahead and just add it to the issue tracker on the open source repository. That's Tracm.